to show that China and the United States can manage our differences, prevent competition from becoming anything ever near conflict, and to find ways to work together on urgent global issues that require our mutual cooperation.
Imagine a world where objects, people, and even giant structures can vanish into thin air. From science fiction to reality, an unbelievable power has been discovered by China's latest technology. This has left the world stunned and the United States on high alert. This unbelievable invention will not only change the balance of global power, but will also cause a rise in China's military power, making their army the best on Earth. But what is this shocking invention? What does it mean for the future of warfare? Join us in this video as we reveal China's shocking invention and the United States' response to it. The invisible power of mass destruction. Our technology age has finally come to the point where the boundaries between reality and fantasy blur, the impossible becomes possible, and the laws of traditional physics are defied. By combining information from biology, materials, science, and engineering, a team of Chinese scientists recently created something very impressive, and it is none other than the ability to be invisible. As unbelievable as this sounds, this Harry Potter ability has become a reality.
Harry Potter fans rejoice. A real-life invisibility cloak could be just around the corner. Check this out. A Canadian technology company has made a major breakthrough in the camouflage world. It's a light-bending veil that can make people and other items nearly undetectable.
From the silver screen to the pages of our favorite books, the allure of invisibility has captivated our imagination. Who can forget James Bond's sleek Aston Martin vanishing into thin air, or Harry Potter's trusty cloak rendering him invisible in the heat of battle? Through the endless realms of fiction based on characters being able to go about their lives undetected, the dream of tech that grants us invisibility has long been an obsession. For a long time, it was only in science fiction. As recently as 2016, researchers had concluded that the fundamental laws of physics meant a true invisibility cloak wasn't possible. Past methods of creating invisibility relied on blocking objects at specific electromagnetic wavelengths, something that fell apart when you needed to work on multiple wavelengths at once. But that may no longer be the case. Chinese scientists have achieved this shocking fusion of myth and science by revealing a groundbreaking hybrid material purported to bring the invisibility cloak concept to life. This groundbreaking research capitalizes on the rapid advancements in metamaterials, known for their unique ability to bend electromagnetic waves, thereby potentially rendering objects invisible to radar. Drawing inspiration from the mythical chimera, this team of researchers from Jilin and Tsinghua universities in China ingeniously blended characteristics from the chameleon, glass frog, and bearded dragon to conceptualize this hybrid material. According to a South China Morning Post report, this material, aimed at achieving the elusive invisibility cloak, promises to be imperceptible across a spectrum that includes microwave, visible light, and infrared frequencies. Published in the esteemed Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, the study showcases a bionics-based approach, addressing the limitations of current camouflage technologies which often falter across varying terrains. As stated by the researchers, this invention transitions camouflage technologies from the limited scenario to changing terrains, and is a big step forward for new generation reconfigurable electromagnetics that can change circuit designs. A test version of it revealed its multiple stealth abilities through careful development of patterned plastic bases, metal mesh shapes, and exact assembly methods. Dubbed Chimera after the legendary creature composed of different animals, this invisibility cloak amalgamates the chameleon's color adaptation, the glass frog's transparency, and the bearded dragon's thermal regulation. This means in its design, it mirrors the chameleon's ability to harmonize its microwave reflection properties with diverse landscapes.
Chameleons are animals that most people would regard as highly charismatic.
It also draws from the glass frog, known for its near invisibility during sleep by concealing most of its blood in the liver, by embedding its circuitry between layers of PET plastic and quartz glass to achieve a similar level of optical transparency. Addressing the challenge of concealing the heat generated by the metamaterial's circuits, the researchers turned to the bearded dragon's unique thermal regulation. By adopting a mechanically driven design, the chimera's thermal footprint is minimized to a negligible 3.1 degrees Celsius, making it pretty much invisible to thermal imaging across various terrains. By facilitating seamless blending into diverse environments, using these features, Chimera enables objects or personnel to evade detection by radars, infrared detectors, and optical devices. Jilin University lead author Xu Jiaohua highlighted how flexible the Chimera meta-surface is. He said, "It was intriguing that suitable working states of the Chimera meta-surface can be found to match all the 5 terrains over the whole frequency range of interest." Now imagine the possibilities of wielding this power of invisibility. Without a doubt, this equals invincibility. The potential applications of this technology are huge and varied, ranging from military operations, where it could offer significant strategic advantages, to wildlife conservation, where it could enable non-invasive observation of animals in their natural habitats without disrupting their behavior, hence contributing to conservation efforts. Even the South China Report further suggests that by mitigating human interference in ecosystems, Chimera stands poised to bolster conservation initiatives and offer a glimpse into a future where the boundaries between science and nature blur in pursuit of mutual symbiosis. It could be used to create advanced camouflage systems, develop new medical devices, or even improve our understanding of the natural world. The creative spirit of the researchers and the possibility of different fields coming together for the advancement of science and technology are reflected in the Chimera metamaterial. While Chimera is a game changer, China has several other notable breakthroughs in invisibility technology. In 2023, Chinese researcher Chu Junhao pushed the boundaries of optical technology when he revealed his innovation of an actual invisibility cloak.
What I'm about to tell you makes Harry Potter's invisibility cloak seem old school. Scientists have found a way to not only hide objects, but make entire events invisible.
Just like Chimera, this cloak disrupts the convention of visibility into a new phase where the line separating the seen from the unseen is increasingly blurred. This cloak is based on the use of advanced metamaterials capable of bending light. Theoretically, it provides a physical method for attaining optical invisibility. A development like this has ramifications far beyond the fact that it is new and has many practical applications. One such fascinating possibility is the opportunity to create invisible rooms. The technology can revolutionize security since one would be able to secretly observe events or take other actions under considerably high concealing levels. This too may improve the field of sophisticated hearing aids for good. Using optical invisibility, these devices would subtly enhance listening experiences without requiring large and noticeable equipment. Then there is the Invis Defense, another mind-blowing invisibility cloak that was designed by students at China's Wuhan University to hide wearers from security cameras. The Invis Defense is a low-cost coat, and it can be used day or night to evade detection from security camera systems monitored by artificial intelligence. During the day, the coat uses a pattern to effectively blind the cameras, while at night, it emits unusual heat signals to confuse infrared cameras. The coat appears ordinary to human eyes and is ineffective at hiding wearers from human-monitored security cameras. Its design means it would also potentially confuse some of the detection systems used in self-driving cars, but not the human drivers. Invis Defense prevents the camera from telling if you are a human, even if it captures you, by generating conspicuous patterns that disrupt computer vision. Incredible, right? This coat could be used for stealth military uniforms to evade detection from drones or AI-controlled units on the battlefield. Researchers could also potentially use its pattern-generating algorithm to better understand and patch up loopholes in artificial intelligence and computer recognition technology. With the invisibility technology on the rise, besides other applications, military forces especially are continuously pushing innovation boundaries in cutting-edge camouflage technologies. For that, China's invisibility cloak has become a starting point for camouflage technology competitions between countries to make an invincible army. In fact, as of today, there have been reports of other countries breaking into the world of camouflage with mind-blowing technologies. camouflage technologies that you will find difficult to believe that they exist. The coming age of invisibility. With the way different nations are racing for an advancement in technology, very soon anyone who can afford the cost will have the ability to become invisible whenever and however they wish. Not only China, but countries like the United States and Israel especially have also been engaged in years-long research and development to create diverse invisibility cloaks capable of concealing soldiers, vehicles, tanks, and aircraft from various identification methods. In 2020, the Israeli Ministry of Defense and tech company Polaris Solutions announced a 500-gram thermal visual concealment sheet that uses polymers to conceal anyone or anything underneath it. Other countries aren't left behind too. Even amid the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict, both sides have asserted notable progress in developing camouflage suits to counter the thermal imaging equipment used by their adversaries. On January 24th, HyderX, a Russian company, announced the development of a new camouflage suit designed to manipulate the ambient temperature surrounding the wearer.
There are Russian-made cloaks that claim to offer thermal protection as well, but documentation on the product's performance is a little lacking.
This innovation aims to render Russian servicemen practically invisible to thermal imaging devices employed by enemy forces. Similarly, Ukraine made comparable claims last year regarding the creation of an invisibility cloak to protect Ukrainian soldiers from Russian thermal imaging technology. But there is more. Not quite long ago, a Canadian camouflage company, Hyperstealth Biotechnology, made the headlines when it patented the technology behind a material that bends light to make people and objects disappear, that is, become invisible to the naked eye. The material, called quantum stealth, was developed by the company's CEO Guy Kramer, primarily for military purposes, to conceal agents, equipment such as tanks and jets in the field, and even entire buildings. Although currently in the prototyping stage, Guy Kramer says he is close to fully incorporating the idea into practice. As well as making objects close to invisible to the naked eye, the material also conceals them from infrared and ultraviolet imagers. Unlike the traditional camouflage materials, which are limited to specific conditions such as forests or deserts, according to Kramer, this invisibility cloak works in any environment or season, at any time of day. This is made possible through something called a lenticular lens, a corrugated sheet in which each ridge is made up of a convex or outward curving lens. These are most commonly found in 3D bookmarks or collectible football cards, but in this case, they are left clear rather than being printed on. When multiple of these lenticular sheets with different lens distributions are layered in just the right way, they can refract light at a myriad of different angles to create dead spots. Light is no longer able to pass through these points, hiding the subject behind them from view while the background remains unchanged. Videos released by the company demonstrate quantum stealth's ability to work, even when the material is the thickness of a sheet of paper, staying lightweight and inexpensive to produce while being substantial enough to also block thermal imagers. There remain, however, some restrictions to the effectiveness of the material, as it requires the subject or object to stand a certain distance away in order to be concealed, and the effect might be more or less convincing when viewed from different angles. Kramer explained that he and his team are in the process of working with manufacturers to tool up for these unique lenses. The manufactured versions should be very clear and quite detailed compared to the crude prototypes they currently have. Kramer anticipates that this material will be ready for most applications within the next 12 months. This includes being used to fashion items such as riot shields, camouflage nets, parachutes, or pop-up tents. However, it cannot be used as clothing yet due to the standoff distance required. Outside of military applications, Kramer also claims that he was able to use the material to triple the energy output of solar panels due to its large reflective surface area. Some other previous iterations of invisibility cloaks that have been developed by researchers and scientists are closer to devices rather than materials. They include the Rochester cloak, a system of 4 lenses set up at a distance from each other, which is limited to disappearing small objects.
People have been fascinated with cloaking for a very long time, and it's recently been a really popular thing, for example, in science fiction, also in Harry Potter. But I think people are really excited by the prospect of just being invisible.
As well as a cloaking device made of copper rings by scientists at Duke University, capable of bending microwave light around an object. A few years ago, Dutch designer Don Roosgaard told Dezeen about a project that flipped this idea off its head. Instead of a material that conceals the person behind it, the Dutch designer was working on a suit that turns transparent when the wearer lies, something he suggested could be used to literally expose dishonest bankers. A different approach to making invisibility tech into clothing developed by an apparel company best known for a metal jacket made from bulletproof material, a copper-infused garment designed to kill viruses, and an algae-based T-shirt that composts in 12 weeks, suggests that what was once thought of as a closed-off direction in technology could once more be open. The company, UK-based Volleybak, developed a prototype of a thermal camouflage jacket that it says signals a critical first step towards an invisibility cloak. The material had been developed by Koskun Kokabas, a professor of 2D device materials at the University of Manchester and the National Graphene Center. In 2019, Volleybak approached Kokabas and proposed a collaboration to try and develop the technology further into something that could eventually resemble an invisibility cloak. 3 years on, Volleybak and Kokabas are finally ready to unveil their thermal camouflage jacket. Unlike the physically impossible approach discounted in 2016, this technology is based on graphene layers. The jacket, made up of 42 panels of graphene around 5 centimeters square that are attached to the outside of a jacket, is controlled by the electron density of the material. A voltage is passed through the layers by a computer program that charges the ions within a liquid that sits between more than 100 layers of graphene that accumulate electrons. That converts the graphene, an absorbing material, into a reflective material when it comes to infrared thermal radiation. Graphene's near unparalleled conductivity allows it to control the optics of any garment covered in it by applying a voltage across it. Each of those 42 panels can be thought of as a pixel on a display that can be controlled individually. Doing that can enable the panels to fool an infrared camera into thinking hot panels look cold or cold panels look hot. The critical thing is, it does it with no change of temperature on the jacket itself. It's just the thermal radiation that changes. But while selling invisibility cloaks to the wider public is still very much a dream for Tidball, there is one you can buy for yourself, thanks to a UK-based company that has made this futuristic technology a reality. London-based startup Invisibility Shield company has finally developed a fully functional invisibility shield. At the start, they failed miserably. Almost 2 years later, they settled upon a reliable and efficient mechanism to make large yet light invisibility shields that could be at your doorstep in time for the holidays. To develop this invisibility cloak, researchers used a special lens array to redirect light. This lens array works by deflecting light from the subject behind the shield, away from the observer. The lenses in this array are oriented vertically to allow light from the subject to diffuse when it passes through the shield. Moreover, the light from the background is refracted towards the observer. This does not allow the observer to spot the subject hiding behind the shield. Interestingly, this shield gives the best results against uniform backgrounds like foliage, grass, rendered walls, sand, sky, and asphalt. These shields are not only lightweight and portable, but they also don't need the power to function. The material used for their production is UV-resistant, temperature-resistant, and extremely durable. Made readily available to all, the company offers these shields in 2 sizes, a full size which is about 3 x 2 feet, sufficient to hide a full-grown human or even 2 behind it while sitting down. The other one measures about 12 x 8 inches. The former is priced at $394, while the latter costs about $65. But that's not only how far invisibility technology can go. Ever heard of the Mercedes-Benz invisible car? The German automaker coated one of its F-cell hydrogen fuel cell-powered cars with an invisibility cloak to give it the added advantage of disappearance. To achieve this, one side of the F-cell was covered with strips of LED lights to create a display fed by images from cameras mounted on the other side. This creates the illusion that you can see through the car, even when it's moving. This is a technology similar to that being tested for use on military vehicles. All in all, despite these electrifying inventions and their endless advantages on the bright side, many fail to recognize their looming consequences and what dangers they could pose for the future. Everyone would love to own an invisibility cloak. Make an embarrassing mistake in a gathering, and you can simply throw on your invisibility cloak and vanish from the piercing gaze of everyone. Even if you want to know what your partner does in secret, you could stroll right into their space and get loads of it. However, what lies on the other end might make you wish otherwise. The dark sides of invisibility. The ability to become invisible is an interesting idea. The biggest impact of such innovations, however, is likely to come in the domain of warfare and security, where the application is likely to be far more offensive than defensive. The technology can be used to make obstacles invisible, but the first instinctive application in a battlefield is the idea of soldiers who cannot be detected. Behind a mask of invisibility, these soldiers can strike without warning, with invisible tanks and aircraft, immune to attack. There could also be obstacles and fortifications that literally disappear, allowing troops to move freely and without encumbrance. The implications of such technology are profound, with the possibilities of changing the face of modern warfare. The ability to vanish into thin air gives any military force possessing it an edge in surprise attacks, intelligence gathering, and covert operations. These consequences are not just limited to the battlefield. Such developments could change global security entirely. Envision a world wherein terrorists or rogue states utilize invisibility technology to attack or evade detection, where spies and saboteurs can move with impunity to gather intelligence and pull off clandestine operations. Looking at it from another angle, the invisibility technology also raises serious privacy concerns. Imagine being able to spy on people without their knowledge. That is basically what invisibility technology would be able to permit. In this case, one could easily hide cameras and microphones to record people secretly. One would even have invisible drones monitor people, which is kind of scary. Invisibility technology could also be used to gather information about individuals' personal lives without their knowledge. An intruder could literally be in the same space with you without your knowledge. This could amount to a loss of anonymity, whereby people cannot even walk down the street without being tracked, let alone the blackmail and harassment potential. If someone can get secret info on you, they would have much more ability to control or coerce you. The implications of living in such a world are daunting and raise key questions about ethics and responsibility while developing and deploying any sort of technology that enables invisibility. Going forward in this field, it's time researchers reflect on the aftermath of such actions and work towards utilizing this technology for the greater good. The development of invisibility technology is like a double-edged sword. With all the promises it holds for changing important aspects of life, one has to take into consideration that it may also come with significant risks and challenges. These issues have not attracted widespread debate yet, but it is inevitable once we start seeing more of them in action. This is because the invisibility tech hasn't yet become perfect enough to be economically available. A flawless camouflage design that can render objects, people, or troops completely invisible in battle has yet to emerge. Furthermore, for the time being, metamaterial invisibility cloaks are somewhat limited. They're not only small, they're limited to 2 dimensions, hardly what you'd need to vanish into the scenery of a 3D war zone. Plus, the resulting cloak would weigh more than even a full-grown wizard could hope to lug around. As a result, the technology might be better suited to applications such as hiding stationary buildings or vehicles, such as a tank. For now, we might still have a long way before we begin to see the consequences of handing a power as glorious as invisibility to humans.
But why is more oil discovery important to China? Why not be like America, which is not utilizing the oil in Alaska and choosing instead to get oil from other countries? We're not saying that China's not been in a relationship with other countries for its oil. Take, for example, Saudi Arabia. The oil mogul of a country has been China's second highest backbone over the years. During the Russian crisis, Riyadh supplied it with many barrels, since its top supplier was less active than it used to be in the region. One of the easiest and most undeniable answers is its massive population. Being the world's second largest country by population, China certainly needs more oil than many of the countries in the world. This is why it recently topped the United States and became the largest oil exporter. With the increase in the use of private cars in the country due to economic development, it's just a no-brainer that such a country would demand more oil. Even with the oil it receives from international countries, Beijing must still be satisfied. How would it then be easy to function exquisitely well without having more? It then becomes easier to see why the country strives to make it. In fact, not only is China drilling, it's also been forging relationships with African countries to get more from them. That talks about something other than their giant steps in financing many organizations nationwide. Plus, the state-owned organization has been taxed to do more in that manner. With the country's oil catered for, China can stand independently and make important decisions. This desperation is shown when the president of the neighboring Philippines visited China to discuss the dispute surrounding the Chinese South Sea they shared. There is yet to be a really good discussion between the two countries before this time. The Philippines, being pro-America, probably didn't see China as a good ally, but the recent skyrocketed oil price has brought it back to Beijing, and the country's discussing possible ways out. China has promised to cooperate with them on the project to build an oil and gas outlet that will serve both countries. This will translate to what's yet to be known, but their relationship is a sign that China is ready to forge an alliance over oil. Apart from those mentioned earlier notoriously important facts, China's also been building its oil reserve. Remember what we said happened after the war that Russia started? That war affected China's position on the matter. Until a few days ago, China never openly said anything about the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Although it seeks not to get involved in the activities of other countries, it nevertheless would have shown some signs of unhappiness other than the usual cliché of "America used to do that too." But its interest disturbed it from being openly clear. To avoid being affected by political reserves, as has been experienced recently, the country is then choosing to bolster its oil reserves and to be independent. The new oil field will undoubtedly be a game changer for China. Imagine the same kind of oil field, about 50 more found. Won't that be a good thing for China? Surely it will be, though we must still bear in mind that the country still contributed about 60% of the total oil it uses. That shows importation does not even hold the highest place in their oil use. The goal of China may become more achieved. Moreover, stability can have a ripple effect on China. With the creation of more oil organizations and the massive growth of its oil industries, there will be more creation of jobs and an increase in employment opportunities. As you know, when all those sectors are properly functioning and the human person is also properly functioning, fewer problems will occur for such a country. Self-dependency will lead to China becoming a hotspot in the world. This is apart from the fact that during drilling offshore, the country has accrued some knowledge about drilling and exploration that have yet to be available in other countries. For example, it just developed one that was sent to topple what America had previously developed. With this new wave of movement, you expect other countries to demand some of these technological devices. China, being smart then, will be in the best possible position to supply them. Imagine how many countries suffer from a lack of oil, which just the discovery of some would be easing. That will be the unique selling point of China. Undeniably, China wants to make money off its discovery. There's always that benefit from being a pioneer and a smart pioneer. We should not talk about the most important. Deep inside China, the country wants to rule the world. Not only have they been making investments in Africa, or outrightly confronting countries they perceive as limiting them, or trying to coerce Taiwan to unite with it for the country to be bolstered thoroughly, but the country also seeks to control the oil economy. In fact, according to some reports, Beijing is not only looking for stability, but it also wants to export petroleum oil. You might find that surprising, but it's the truth. Unlike America, which does not involve itself in such, China is ready to do that, and China is preparing to do so. Indeed, if you look at countries in the Permanent Council of the United Nations, only one is oil-rich, although less rich than China: Russia. Imagine China having as many oil reserves as Russia. Which country could compete? Probably none. And to the last one, the recurrent interest in having Taiwan back as a part of itself. Does that drive home to you? Reports have suggested that China's been building its military over the years to overrun the state, and it's not that the country is unaware of it. To protect itself, it sourced for protection in America. China's now preparing such a war against America. The recent statement by Xi Jinping shows that China will take every means, including using force, to take Taiwan back into the People's Republic of China. America, too, has noticed the trend, and concerns are being drawn by many senior military officers about the potential attack by China. Though America has allies such as Japan in the Asian continent, it is still unsafe. The calculation of China could be the belief that if China becomes such a massively powerful country, its authority will be unchallenged, and it'll take over the country. Even if its authority is challenged, most countries may find it hard to denounce them because they benefit from the country. Whatever the case, the desperate Chinese search for oil fields speaks a million words. Do you think China mainly seeks oil control or independence to rule the world? Which country do you think will soon rule the world? Let us see your answers in the comment section below.